Hello everyone, this is Darcenovia here. This is my review on one of the last arcs of Star Wars Republic. Um, and if you followed this story, which Quinlan Voss, you already know his obsession with finding the second Sith. And this also is the story that has the Siege of Seleucamine, which is a siege that lasted for, 5 months. This story begins about 6 months before Revenge of the Sith and ends about a few weeks before Revenge of the Sith. So I'm getting very close to Revenge of the Sith chronologically. Even though some of the stuff I'm reviewing do take place before Revenge of the Sith with the Clone Wars adventures, but this, I'm getting very close to the end game for the Clone Wars era. And what do I think of this story? Well, this I think is amazing. This story. I mean, John Ostrander. Where can you go wrong with John Ostrander? Everything the guy touches is fucking gold. It seems. He probably could take a turd and turn it into something good because that's how fucking great of a writer he is. I mean, I probably would put him as one of the best Star Wars writers of all time because every signal story I've read from him has been great, and this one is no exception. And and the artist, as usual, who does this artwork, does an amazing job of making this look and feel like a Star Wars comic. I mean, this is probably my favorite Star Wars artist too. Honestly, if I have to be real, this story, you know, I think the artwork is great, like it normally is. So I don't need to talk about that. I think the battles are intense. Of course, the first half of this story is before the siege of Seleucamine, and the rest of it is probably, arguably, one of the most intense battles in the Clone Wars. Not as intense as the Battle of Jabim, in my opinion, but holy crap, is it intense! And I think Quillen Voss, him overcoming his the darkness inside of him was an amazing moment, one of the best Star Wars moments ever. I mean, Quinlan Voss. If you haven't been convinced that he's probably one of the greatest Jedi ever in Star Wars, I don't know what to tell you. Quinlan Voss, his story, like, is amazing, and um, there's just no words I have for this. I mean, the Battle of Seleucamine, is one of the most intense battles I've read in a Star Wars comic, and not to mention, I love how I love the lightsaber duel, the final one between Quinlan Voss and Shirla Brooke. I think that's his name. I cannot. It's hard for me to pronounce it. I love how simultaneously he's fighting him and his dark side at the same time. I thought that was a great visual thing to read. I also like the short duel he had with his master as well. I mean, panel after panel with his amazing artwork. It's like you forget at times you're reading a comic. Like, it would really be amazing if we had an animated movie with this style. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. But still, I think that this is a great way to pretty much conclude the story arc that Quinlan Voss has pretty much been dealing with since at the start of the Clone Wars portion of him looking for the second Sith and him overcoming the dark side. I know there's one more story involving Quinlan Voss I have yet to read, which will be the end. And there's no more stories about Quinlan Voss, and his fate is pretty much unknown in the EU because, well, I'll get into that next time. I give the Siege of Seleucamine a classic rating. I think it's one of the best Star Wars stories ever told in the comic Minium. And I can't wait to talk about the final story arcs of Star Wars Republic. This is probably my favorite Star Wars comic series. In my eyes, I think it's the best that I've read. This is Darcinovia, over and out. See you guys next time.